What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Jump to Start Racing podcast. My name is Wellington. I'm here with two of my closest friends. Ruben, say hello.
What's going on, guys?
As you guys can see, he's wearing the Barcelona hat, the custom Mercedes hat.
I got that hat.
And I'm also here with my other good friend, Yhancy. Say hello.
Hi.
Not very excited. Hi. Was it the race? Did that do you in?
You know what? It's better than I expected.
Well, I am glad to hear that.
That was, for Barcelona, an exciting race.
I don't know if that's saying a lot or if it's...
No, it says what it means. Or what I think
It was a very exciting race.
it was good for Barcelona.
Guys, let's jump into it. The news I want to talk about first and foremost. Actually, it's a budding feud. If it's not already there.
On a friendly side.
No, I don't think
definitely
so.
not.
For
friendly.
the cameras, at least.
There's a lot of mudslinging going on.
Between Red Bull and Mercedes. So the story has come out that Red Bull has poached, is that the right term? Poached another 5 of the Mercedes technical team in order to come in and kind of jump to start their whole...
But in this case, the jumping ship.
Yes. In order to kind of jumpstart their power unit manufacturing, etc. division. So they've picked up a number of key players. So Mercedes head of manufacturer Steve Blewett is to become Red Bull's power unit production director. Electronics team leader for Mercedes will be Red Bull's head of powertrains, electronics, and ERS. Mercedes power unit concept team leader. I want that job. Is to become Red Bull's head of mechanical design, among other things. Yhancy, what the heck is going on?
But wait. This is
out of all of this.
This is like out of like 100 people.
Well, they're trying to get 100 people.
Jeez.
Or they approached 100 people.
They approach 100 people. What's going on is that Red Bull is...
But wait, Jens, and they still don't want Wellington?
Right? You know what's going to happen? I'm going to fill in the Mercedes.
You're gonna jump ship to Mercedes?
Yeah.
I don't get it. This is a crime against humanity.
All right, so Yhancy,
It's a travesty.
walk us through... Enough patting me on the back, guys. Let's walk us through this whole thing.
Feeling better yet?
Not yet. No, I need a little more, actually.
Christian, he's your guy.
Yeah.
The main guy.
All right, let's get to it.
All right. So, yeah, and what's happening is that Red Bull are, freaking, should I say what, sharpening their horns and just charging at Mercedes in every way possible, on track, off track, criticisms, and Mercedes is throwing it back. So, Toto Wolff's answer to all of this is, meh. That's all it is. Here's his quote. It says, I find it admirable that Red Bull is taking on the project. There's certainly a Mount Everest to climb. Nothing has changed in HPP, which is Mercedes engine division. We have 900 employees, and probably we lose 10 or 15. It's pretty normal and mostly manufacturing staff. So he's making it seem like it's not a really big deal.
So when Toto Wolff said that Red Bull is taking on the project, what project is he talking about?
I'm sorry?
What Toto Wolff in the quote that you read said that they're taking on the project.
They're taking
is that
on
the
the
project
project
of beating Mercedes, or is that the project of creating their own
engine division? And at this point, what they're doing is they're creating their own division to maintain the current Honda engine. So basically, not to develop it, but just to take care of it and build it for the next up season. But what this does also is that it creates, because they're literally building an entire building just for that department. So they're hiring people. So in the future, even if they bring in, let's say, a Cosworth or another engine manufacturer, they have the facilities for them to work right there next to the factory so the engine and chassis departments can work together. And that is super important for Red Bull because then that makes them a quote-unquote works team instead of being a customer team. Meaning Red Bull is investing in their F1 program like a manufacturer would, like an OEM would. So they're in it for the long haul. They're not spending all this money just to be in for the next 2 or 3 years. They're going to be an engine manufacturer. They're going to be a works team. They're going to be highly competitive. I think what you're seeing this year is just the beginning of it.
It's the prelude. Ruben, any thoughts on their poaching before we move on to the other aspects of this feud?
No, it's just I know Red Bull were criticized before when they bought Jaguar because they did something similar and started signing people from other teams and stuff like that. So this is nothing new for Red Bull. And
it's nothing new in F1, to be honest with you.
So what?
There's nothing new in F1 either.
Yeah. So it worked for Red Bull back in the day. So hopefully this works for them as well. And I guess money's key. They're throwing money at these people. That's the only you're offering these new people that are jumping ship. Well, a better position, a better title, and obviously more money. So
I think there was a quote by Lewis Hamilton a few years back. Almost dismiss. I think it was right before or right after he signed with Mercedes, almost dismissing the Red Bull team and saying, no, they're just an energy drink company.
Yeah, something like that.
Oof.
Meaning that, they're not really serious players
They're still there, though.
in the F1 game, but they've won 4 championships. They have a winning pedigree. They have a great team. And now with this investment in the powertrain, again, it's just starting as to upkeep and maintain the Honda IP or the Honda engine. But the quotes coming out of Milton Keynes, especially Christian Horner, is that it is a step in the direction where they can build their own engines, their own Red Bull tagged engines, be it them or be it in partnership with a third-party engine manufacturer like a Cosworth.
So beyond that piece of information, then kind of weave into a couple of other things, right? So Lewis Hamilton has mentioned that he wants his contract done during the summer break or before the summer break. Beyond that, there is also talks about potentially Valtteri Bottas losing his seat sometime during the season. Do you guys remember what his response was?
It's bullsh.
No,
Red Bull,
that's exactly
ish.
Yeah, and I think he chose his words wisely. And he also said that there's only one other team that does that on the grid. Mercedes is not one of them.
Woo! Or is not the one?
Not the one. And who's the other team? Who is the team that famously kicks their drivers out in the middle of the season?
AlphaTauri.
Yeah. There's a reason why he said bull and ish at the beginning of that.
I think you should have a recording next time and say this all the time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, it could be just another rumor started up by another camp. We've seen that before in F1. Could be, Mercedes just throwing that out there just so it can get into the media and, the media can ask the question, what's going on, or Red Bull saying that Bottas could be in danger of, there's so many different scenarios. The other thing that came up this weekend is Hamilton bringing up Red Bull's bending of the wing. I have a quote here from
He's missed a quote today.
Yeah,
yeah, he's prepared.
Yeah. So Hamilton, where is this quote? Okay, so he's
talking about how
in an interview, the Red Bull cars are really fast on the straights. They have this bendy wing on the back of their car, which they put on today. They gain at least 3/10 from this wing.
Wow,
that's a lot of time.
That's a lot of time.
So it will be quicker down the straights than us, and it will be hard to keep them behind. But that doesn't mean it will be impossible. Obviously, the FIA has looked into this. No wrongdoing. But, I mean, again, it's
just... Do we see Mercedes having this thing been doing soon? If it works for them.
I think that's all materials, but I don't know. I just think it's just a lot of mudslinging going on just to see what can get under their skin.
It's funny. Well, number one, of course, Hamilton and Mercedes, oh no, we're not that good. Red Bull so much faster. Just another example of their Eeyore shtick, right? And then number two, that number 3/10, isn't that number familiar? Wasn't that the amount of time that Verstappen was losing due to the differential?
Yes.
in the first race. So it's weird how we get these numbers come. Oh my God, it's 0.3, and Hamilton or Max was losing 0.3,
I think
but now
Helmut
they're gaining
Marko
0.3.
threw out like half a second.
Yeah.
Also, I forget what they were talking. It's just a lot of mudslinging. It's actually fun for us.
Yeah,
Of course.
it's like the WWE. It's amazing. It's like,
It's awesome. And it's great material for Netflix.
yeah. If you smell,
Yeah, I'm thinking. I didn't remember how it started. I didn't remember how the saying started. I'm going this way, I'm going this way. Like, how does this go? How does it start? And I can't remember.
What?
but at the end of the day, right? The results on the track are what matter. So they could poach all the talent they want. They can say whatever they want back and forth, but who's producing right now?
Well, I'll tell you what. This is when leadership is key, and just like I said, Toto Wolff's demeanor is bring it on, and it's the same way with Lewis Hamilton. In the interviews afterwards, he's like, I love this competition. It's great. Bring it on, and he's obviously coming out on top.
When you are the king, does it really matter what the peasants are saying?
Listen, no, it really doesn't matter. And to quote from one of the greatest TV shows on the face of this earth, if you come for the king, you best not miss. And
Are you talking about Blue's Clues?
The Wire, my friend, The Wire.
I got a question for you, Yhancy.
Yes.
This bend doing thing that Hamilton, allured to or whatever. When did he say that? After the race?
Yeah, I believe so. No, it's a Saturday evening. He said
I
it.
was gonna say,
So it was right after qualifying. Mm-hmm. He said it on Sky.
when he was so close to doing qualifying, or
Well,
was it so close to Max or to see it?
we can maybe
In the race, he was.
maybe he did
Just,
an Inspector Ham, like Inspector Seb.
Exactly.
Yeah, just took a quick look.
Or he got a feed from the from the
yes.
spike from the what is it, the
When
spike
I-
photographer.
When I say this, because he has to be running to see the bending thing on it because the car is parked.
No, but they have video going into
but it wasn't Hamilton that lured to it, so he had to come from.
Well,
somewhere
he's the
else.
one that
That's Horner
brought.
said
I
that.
mean, obviously it came from somebody else, but he brought it up on TV. And all the news outlets are going to pick up on that. It's F1, baby. This is what makes it interesting.
All right, so prior to moving on,
Keep
to
slinging
the,
mud, boys.
Yes. Prior to moving on to the race review, I want to make sure to mention our socials. If you're enjoying what we're talking about so far, make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Jump to Start F1. Check us out on YouTube. We're live on video. You could see us waving at you literally right now. It's Jump to Start Racing Podcast. Make sure to search for us. Drop a couple of likes. Watch our videos. Subscribe and hit the bell if you like our content. For those that are watching us on YouTube, I guess, we are across multiple podcast platforms. I'm going to bring up the small little video that I do here. Boom. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeart Radio, TuneIn, and Stitcher. So obviously, make sure, check us out.
Wait.
Drop some reviews.
Round of applause.
At Jump to Start F1, Twitter and
This man
Instagram.
He's like Lewis Hamilton, the consistency.
Excellence of execution.
Woo!
All right, so
Flawlessly.
Ruben, take us to our race review.
Gentlemen, a short view back to the part.
So let's start off with qualifying. Q1. Notable. Actually, this whole saga starts before Q1. Yuki Tsunoda coming into the race weekend, talking crap about the car, saying that there's a question mark above his car that's not there over Pierre Gasly's car.
Well, yeah, that was
Maybe
right
a height
after.
thing too.
That was because of his Q1 exit,
Gotcha.
which is a car that is capable of making it into Q3, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, he seems like a bit of a crybaby.
Yeah. Typical Zoomer, would you say?
Yeah, he's it was listen, he's obviously has a very fiery character.
Yes.
Which is not a bad thing, but it's only a good thing if you can control it.
And if you produce.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, that's the
Michael
whole
Schumacher,
point.
right? He was very fiery, but Man,
So was Senna.
right? They all won. Nigel Mansell.
He's very much a rookie, you can tell. And I don't know where that comment came from that the car is not the same.
It's not
It
behaving
obviously
the same.
looks the same.
It's not behaving the same.
But it's not behaving the same because he's not driving it
Exactly.
the way it should be driven. He needs to put his head down. He needs to calm down. He needs to, I wouldn't say stop cursing, but I'm just saying just tone it down a little bit and stop making excuses. Because at this point right now, what you're doing is that you're blaming somebody else for your shortcomings.
Right. So what's the, not the proverb, but like when there are, look within, right? Look within. What can you do to better the car? So in a situation where your team just kind of needs you, the car started out on fire. Amazing. And that's another thing to talk about. The AlphaTauri itself, the car has really dropped off, but
I don't think it's the car.
no?
No, it's just bad. It's a combination of a lot of things, but it's all self-inflicted by the team as a whole. Obviously, Tsunoda's not performing the way he should.
Right.
They had a bad tire, a strategy call
For Pierre Gasly.
And then you had, in this race in particular, he could have finished higher. The tires dropped off. There's a lot of things. It's all self-inflicted wounds. The car is good. It's just that you can have the tools or you can have the weapon, but if you don't know how to use it, what good is it?
You're taking a knife to a gunfight, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, the car is good. The car has pace, but you're looking at what traditionally is a lower midfield team faced with a good car. They just don't know what to do with it. It's kind of like what happened with Racing Point last year at the beginning of the season. They had a very good car, a lot of potential. They just never got the results.
And what happens every Grand Prix with Red Bull? They have a really good car with them. It's just that they can't win. Because
I
something happens.
don't think it's the same. I don't think it's the same level.
No, I just my comment came from saying that I believe what makes Mercedes also, really, really at the top is also the whole package that they have, and that's also has to do with Force India last year. They did not have the whole package. Something was always met.
Yeah,
And it's happening with AlphaTauri. The strategies are not being 100%. Tsunoda is not behaving the way he's supposed to behave in that car. Like for example, Gasly had the front wing, taken away in that, and I think it's Imola or
Imola.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a combination of things. Like you have to calm down, and like what you were alluding to earlier as well. That this is like a personal belief is like when you want to change, the change starts with you.
Yep.
Before you start,
Pointing fingers, right? If you point a finger, you got 4 fingers pointing back at you. Or
Well, you're basically, it's the culture. At the end of the day, if you have a winning culture, if you have the experience, you're able to get around these things. They don't have that. They have the potential, but they don't have that. And then when anything does go wrong, they don't know how to handle it and make things worse.
Yeah.
One other thing about them is that every other car is getting better. You see the Alpine, all of a sudden, just like now it's starting to show up, and obviously the McLarens are better, the Ferraris are better. Last year they were picking up podiums because there was that kind of like a gap in there that they could kind of squeeze their way into. But now they showed up with a good car, and it's not getting better.
And it's super close between all those teams.
Yes.
So
yeah.
any mistake, any small mistake will turn into a huge mistake.
Speaking of super close, so that was Q1. That was the notable thing. Q2. So 10th was Fernando Alonso in Q2, right? 117.966. Lance Stroll 11th, 117.974. So what is that? 8,000ths of a second that he lost out on. Pierre Gasly 12th.
That's very, very close.
Yes. 117.982. So that is 16,000ths of a second that he missed out on Alonso.
Very, 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 very close.
Yes.
Can't even blink.
Yeah. So Sebastian Vettel, 118.079. So that is, it's coming up on 1/100th of a second. That's, again, you can't even blink. It's
very, 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 Very close.
The midfield is
I'm just trying to say it in layman's terms.
how many varies is that?
I have no clue.
Like infinite.
It's infinite.
Infinite. Berry.
So the midfield, then you get like your Giovinazzis, your Giorgio. Obviously, those guys are going to be in the back, but like the midfield is getting much closer, and that is readily apparent in qualifying. I had a note here in our outline. Midfield race, 5 cars finished in Q3. 5 cars finished within 0.2 of a second in Q3. I'm going to read out these names, right? So we had Charles Leclerc, 17.510.
Charlie!
4th place finish in Q3. This guy is a monster.
Fire. He's on fire.
Speaking of a guy that's on fire, Esteban Ocon.
Yes.
117.580, 0.07 of a second behind Leclerc in the Alpine. That is improving.
Yes.
I don't know. Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari, the other Ferrari, he was 0.04 of a second behind Ocon.
And you know what?
What's that?
It doesn't matter.
Okay,
Why?
yes.
Because all of that stuff, as good as it is, got overshadowed by Lewis Hamilton and his 100th pole.
Okay, but let me finish.
Just telling you.
Why
Doesn't
you
matter.
Let me finish. So we started with Leclerc at 17.510. We're at Carlos Sainz with 17.620. Daniel Ricciardo, 0.02 of a second behind Carlos Sainz.
Very
Very happy for
close,
Ricardo.
but it doesn't matter.
Very
And
happy
then
for Ricardo.
Sergio Perez in 8th, 117.701, 0.08 of a second behind Ricardo. It's crazy how
Yeah.
tight we are.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But
When Perez in the second best car on the grid is 8th by like 0.2 or 2 total tenths, it's insane.
question for you guys, though. Do you think, I mean, obviously this race was different, but do you think something like that will translate to better track action the rest of the year?
Yes.
Why?
I think that
I think we saw a glimpse of it this week.
Yeah, we did. You saw, obviously, Hamilton and Max, whatever. But then the rest of the pack, until Bottas kind of figured it out mid-race, the rest of the pack it was like, like an accordion. It was kind of compressed in. You're playing the music. So it was, remember that Leclerc actually passed Bottas in the first lap on turn 3. It was Bottas, Leclerc, Ricardo, like that whole Perez, that whole run was actually pretty close, and we can get to that during the race review. And then at the end, you had Ocon, Alonso, Vettel, Stroll. You had like everybody else fighting for those last two. Yeah, those last two positions, which is crazy, for those last 2 positions. So
And you even had Russell in the mix too.
yeah,
Your
Mr.
team
Saturday,
Williams.
They're getting
Mr.
there.
Saturday. So, Yhancy, you said that none of this matters because Lewis Hamilton 100th pole position.
The king.
There was a meme that it showed him holding the 100th pole position tire,
And behind
and then behind him it's like
Like
a
a
whole
factory tire.
garbage yard of tires of all the pole
Yep.
positions that he's gotten
Where are
Doesn't
those
matter.
tires?
in the garbage. So, best driver ever.
Oof. Damn, that's a whole nother discussion.
Best one lap driver.
I would say so. Yeah, he's the only person with 100 poles.
Your boy Schumacher, how many he had?
Was he at 76?
Nope.
I don't even remember.
What?
59.
Wow, this guy, Mr. Trivia, man.
59? I thought it was more.
Better 53.
Jesus.
Senna, I believe 30 something.
Dude, did you watch like every single one of them? You counted?
No. I'm still missing the little
So
you know,
50. What is it? 50?
9.
59,
Yeah, for Schumacher.
and he has 100.
Senna was the one that had the previous record, right?
Yep.
Schumacher.
No.
41 more poles than anybody else. I'm talking about the second place. That's insane. Best one lap. All right, so I mean that's just crazy, and he just makes it look so easy.
Right?
Schumacher 68.
Okay. There you go.
68.
Senna's
No, you
By
go.
11.
Damn. I knew I was. You see, I told you I was close.
Yeah. I was like,
All right.
You were closer than me.
Yeah, I
You
was
said
close. I was
74.
like, what? I was like 60. Anyways, but yeah, but
You said
I mean,
74, right?
I thought it was like 70.
Whatever.
But anyways, it's a lot. But I'm just saying, it's just like even the gap is just so large, and he does it.
And we're doing more.
He does it so effortlessly because it's one of those things where it's kind of you expect him to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You expect them to just like, even if you have 2 people ahead of him in that last Q3 run, which those last runs, I think you mentioned it during qualifying. None of them have been faster than the first run in Q3.
The second run of Q3. No time this season has the second run been faster than the first run for any car.
I don't know.
Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but that's what we've seen in the last 3 races.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. But
not only that, but Q2. I was looking at the Q2 times. A lot of drivers have faster Q2 times than Q3 times. So I don't know if it's something with the spacing of the cars and it being a different tire carcass and composition that's maybe affected, but something to look at.
Q3, like the second lap, it was a bunch of cars out there. Like everybody wanted to get like a lap at the last minute too.
But it also seems like a lot of teams are having issues with warming up the tires.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, either way, it's just you expect Lewis Hamilton to come up with these unbelievable laps.
How does he do it?
And honestly, his best qualifying laps have come in recent years. Singapore, 2019?
19.
That lap was unbelievable.
How does he do it?
How
does he do it? I don't know. No, I'm talking about to be that sharp.
You remember
come race day? Like,
you remember that lap? I think it was either last year. The year before. The year before, where he had the fastest qualifying lap by more than half a second in Australia. That was
the first race.
That was what the birth of party mode.
Yeah, actually, you're right.
Yeah.
So take the car out of the equation, right? Because even this year, what was the second race? It was Bahrain.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, that was the first race.
First was Bahrain. It was in
Imola.
It was Imola. Yeah.
So Imola, he got the pole position. He was like, what? I got the pole position because the Red Bull was at that point the better car. And they were showing it all throughout the practices to the point where like Bono was like, oh my God, you got the pole position.
You got it, mate.
Yeah. So this guy, he just does it. He just, I don't know what it is that he's just the excellence of execution.
So, all right.
How?
So now here's a question for you guys. And I've been thinking about this because saw this on social media. I think the handles F1 Network on Instagram. So we would say that at the very least we can say that Lewis Hamilton is the best driver of his generation.
But what's his generation? Because he raced against
Alonso, Vettel, just that those drivers.
Currently Max.
No. But I'm talking. I mean, currently not. But
you're talking about the champions, the recent champions.
Yeah.
Jensen Button, obviously.
Yeah, but now you have this new crop that's coming in. Obviously, the best. Well, the most known one is Max Verstappen. You have Leclerc.
You have Lando.
You have Russell. Out of this new crop that's coming in now, who do you think has the best chance
of unseating him?
Remember, we have Leclerc has 7 poles already. We have Max, I think, has
7 poles.
He has 7 poles. Yeah.
But that was with a cheating engine. I don't know.
Still doesn't matter.
Still counts.
Still counts.
Asterisks. Only in baseball, right?
Haters. You have Leclerc. You have Max. I don't know how many poles Max has, but he has, I think, 4 or 5. Right?
No, he got his first pole position this year, or like late last year.
Wow. So you see? And he hasn't been like, Max is not a great qualifier, so to speak. He hasn't really shown that. But then you have Mr. Saturday, George Russell.
Well, you're right. Max Verstappen, 4 poles total. Okay. First one was 2019 Hungary.
Okay.
And 2021 was his last one, Bahrain.
Okay. You have Mr. Saturday. If you put him in a good car, you can get a few poles. Who do you think out of those drivers, Lando, that current new crop of drivers that is up and coming, that you expect them to be here 10 plus years and more, who can come close or even beat that record?
100? None of them, because they're going to cannibalize each other.
Who has the best chance of getting closer?
I would have to say Leclerc. If you're looking at that one lap performance, he's taken that Ferrari to places that we didn't think it was even possible.
Yeah. We have yet to see the potential of George Russell, the full potential.
Right, and he hasn't.
We only seen it.
We saw one weekend, and Bottas beat him out.
Exactly.
So
I don't know.
that's a interesting question to see 10 years down the line to see who's even come close. I don't think anybody even comes close to that. That's a lot.
No, there's no way. There's no way. We're talking all-time greats that are 30 behind them.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, nobody's gonna. No, I don't think anybody will be able to get.
Yeah, but you know what, man? They also said that about
Schumacher.
Schumacher's 92 win record, and Lewis Hamilton
Just pass by.
has 97 now.
No. Well, yeah. I don't know.
So
So the race itself, another boring Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas podium. Boring or no?
no,
At
definitely
the front,
not
yeah.
boring.
At the front, yeah.
No,
It's up and down.
no, it wasn't boring. So there was
The front is what made the race fun.
right. So if you look at it, if you go like 30,000 foot, okay, yeah, same finish, whatever, blah blah blah, race sucked, etc. But at the start, we had Max Verstappen elbows out, attacking Hamilton, which was weird because
Did they hit?
They did not hit. But what was weird about it is that Hamilton was on the racing line. You would think that would be the better grip, right?
Yeah.
It was weird. I think Hamilton's being the how do you call that? He's being so seasoned as he is on Formula One. He actually saw the race, not the moment, because aggressive Hamilton they would have collided.
But I think he said post-race that he was very mindful to be careful of Max next to him because of what happened in Portugal, where he went off-road, bounced up and down, potential damage to the car that may have affected him during the race that we don't even know. Mm-hmm. So he was mindful of that.
So he learns.
He's always been mindful of Max, though. He knows
that Max is crazy,
and especially now that they're what Hamilton is very good at. Obviously, he's good at driving the car, late braking, managing tires, but he's also very good at measuring his opponent and learning his driving style. He did that with Vettel in 2017 and 2018, and got the best of him to the point where Vettel almost ran him off the road in Baku. Got him so pissed off. So now that they're brake check. So now that you have them racing back and forth closely, consistently now, obviously this season has been good because of that battle at the top between Verstappen and Hamilton. Hamilton again is very good at just knowing these little, just picking up on these little things on Max's driving style, and he's very good at taking that and making or trying to taking that to his advantage where he can beat Max, getting into his head. These little comments here and there. Hamilton is the complete package. Again, if you come for the king, you best not miss.
I don't know if I would say he's in Max's head, though, because Max is very much like, oh, I just don't have the best car. Like, his comments after the race don't suggest to me that Hamilton is in his head about it.
Well, not yet. It's too early. It's only 4 races.
Yeah.
But if he keeps, for example, right now it's 3-1, right? If he keeps beating Max already looks a little bit kind of like disgruntled after the race.
Yeah.
You keep doing that, it'll start getting to him. And obviously, Lewis has way more experience, especially with a battle at the top, than Max does. And Max, we know that Max sometimes can be very, very hot-headed, and that's not something that that you can have, especially when you're fighting at the top.
Lewis did say something to that effect, like after the race, that this weekend he learned more about Max than he has ever learned in the past, like just of this race,
really?
His driving style and stuff like that.
Yeah,
really?
He's excellent at doing that, man. He did it with Vettel. he did it with Vettel, man.
Would you say that Rosberg did it to him, and then he learned from there?
Maybe.
Yeah, it's possible.
And that he learned from Alonso, who was also a case of a teammate for him?
Yeah, I mean, you learn from your experiences, and obviously, I think he did learn something from he did learn something from Alonso, but he came out on top ultimately in that battle because he stayed with the team and beat him by 1 point. Well, actually, did he? Yeah, no, he lost to Alonso, I think, by 1 point.
No.
No?
I don't recall that far back. I think he lost to Kimi. He beat Alonso.
He lost to Kimi in 06.
In 08, 07.
Either way, it was 1 point.
That was
but
a rookie year, too, by the way.
Yeah.
you learn more from your defeats than you do from your victories. And he probably learned a lot more from
That's
the
why I'm
Rosberg situation.
So I'm so smart because I take a lot of L's. Anyway. So Max's hot start. Yo, there was also 2 other guys. Daniel Ricciardo and Sergio Perez got off to crazy starts. They right away jumped up 2 positions. Sergio Perez in particular was very impressive. Charles Leclerc, who was also on the right side of the grid, overtook Bottas to get into 3rd position very briefly. Not even briefly, because that lasted through the pit stop.
Yes. But I think what also caused the Leclerc overtake of Bottas was the incident of Hamilton having to pretty much slam on the brakes, you could say, so he couldn't smash through. So he was right behind Hamilton.
Bottas was right behind Hamilton.
Yep. So he had to
let off.
readjust or let off, and that's when Leclerc, I got my piece right here.
Right. So then the story for the race became the strategy calls between Red Bull and Mercedes. So I'm going to bring up the pit stops. Hopefully this graphic works. Boom, it does. So we see that Verstappen pitted in lap 24. So it was said after the race that Verstappen actually made his own call, that he may have misinterpreted something that was said from the pit wall and came in, and then that's why the tires weren't ready, and that's why the pit stop was delayed. So I do want to say
they were not ready. It's true.
Yeah, we always comment on how just automatic Red Bull is with these pit stops. That they are just consistently
like robots, the minions.
Yeah, they're consistently one of the best pit stop crews, up there with Williams, surprisingly, right? So Verstappen pitted lap 24. Hamilton pitted lap 28. It looked like from there, and you could kind of see it in the bars in the graphic here from Pirelli Motorsport on their Twitter at Pirelli Motorsport, I think it is. But you could see that, and it's something that a lot of teams thought that this could be a potential one-stop race, and you could see it under Verstappen. It looks like Mercedes had already calculated that it would be a 2-stopper. Both their drivers came in. Obviously, Hamilton came in early to try and get that longer stint on the medium, on the used but fresher mediums to try and get Verstappen. And then we see Bottas had pitted originally for the fastest lap, but then obviously it helped him towards the end. What do you guys think of these strategy issues?
So obviously looking at the graph and refreshing and everything. So do you think Verstappen went in reacting to Bottas? Because Bottas just had come in like a lap before. I don't know, because Bottas was so far behind him. Like,
right.
He wasn't right there.
Right. So
that was
so here's what I'm going to tell you, right? Probably. And the reason that I'm saying probably is that this is a very pure example of what happens when your teammate is not right there with you.
Yeah, they did emphasize on that a lot.
So very specifically, now you're stuck between the 2 Mercedes. You have to fend them both off. And I bet that in the story for Verstappen that he made the pit, he went into the pit before they were ready. They were saying that they were going to call him in for the next lap, and he understood it to be this lap. So
the fact that
right away
that he came in early and it was still a 4-second pit stop was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it almost seemed to me that Max was a little anxious because, and I don't know what the team communication is, but those are the mistakes that you can't be making because it cost him ultimately. And then with you not having the other car right behind you, then you're a sitting duck because ultimately what Mercedes did, and I don't know why they were so stubborn. If you can clearly see that the tires on all cars are graining. They're just falling off a cliff basically.
Yeah, which is typical Barcelona. Every year this happens.
Even with the resurface track. you would think that when that happens, when Hamilton comes in for that second stop, you have a window right then and there to stop right away after Hamilton, so you can at least have a chance to get the race win. But yeah, that mistake cost him, and it was obviously a longer pit stop than it should have been. That was a difference in the race right there.
So you're susceptible in that situation. You're Max Verstappen. You're susceptible to both the undercut and the overcut because both the Mercedes cars are right there. So
Right.
you're just kind of toast without Sergio Alex Albon Perez being there. We had such high hopes, man.
No, I think
We still do. It's race number 4, right?
Listen, it's just what you have to realize also is that these drivers have had very little time, especially the new ones coming into new teams, have had very little time to get acclimated to their new cars. You see Seb is struggling. You see, Carlos is actually doing a pretty good job, but he's still struggling behind Leclerc. That Red Bull car is super difficult to drive. It's notoriously difficult to drive as any other driver in that second seat. Perez has shown that he is obviously more capable than the previous 2 drivers that was in that seat. And he also had issues with his shoulder. I don't know. It seems like it's a case of bad luck and also him trying to get used to the car.
Can we also give him credit?
But he needs to get on top of that quickly because they're in the middle of a title fight. And when you're in the middle of a title fight, there's no room for error. If they go another race with the same situation, then you're putting yourself in a place where you won't be able to fight back for the championship.
So I don't know. To me, it's weird coming from Red Bull, who is known in their previous years when it was Mercedes and Ferrari fighting for that top spot, right? They're known for having just run their own strategy and making things happen just by running their strategy and not being reactive, not doing whatever it is. So now maybe their head's getting a little too big and they just need to kind of, even though they're reacting to, they're trying to match Mercedes, they need to just kind of do their own thing.
Well, if that's the case, then they're being too stubborn because they didn't react to Lewis Hamilton coming in the second time.
They reacted potentially to Bottas, and that kind of screwed up their race, is what we're kind of assuming.
Yeah.
Also, it shows that they still don't have the package that Mercedes has. Mercedes was always kind of wacky on when it came to strategies a couple of years back. Now they're in formation. Yes sir, we're doing this, we're doing that. Okay, let's go. Red Bull is like, yeah, we tried that, but it doesn't work. But okay, so now let's react to them because we got to cover them now. When it was at that a couple of years back, it was Red Bull dictating the pace when it comes to that. They had their strategy laid out and they're stuck to it. Now they're like, oh no, let's jump down. Oh no, oh no. We're gonna lose.
I don't know, man. They're not. It doesn't seem like they're being aggressive enough, but they can't be as aggressive as they want to be also because they don't have that second car running the way it should be. So, they gotta. Listen, they're in the title fight. They gotta get it sorted out. If not, then we have what has happened the last few years is Mercedes running away with the championship.
I'm trying to search within my hard drive of my brain.
Mm-hmm.
Sergio Perez has never been a great qualifier either.
No.
But he's a great. He makes spaces. He
has
makes
great racecraft.
Yes, no, that's what I'm saying.
He's
but
good on Sundays.
He's never been that. You could say, he has never shined as a great qualifier.
Yeah, but let me tell you something. That's not an excuse because
No, I'm not saying it's an excuse. I'm just saying it goes with what his history has shown. It has shown that I did not qualify. Maybe I don't know, maybe top 10 or top 5, whatever. But I'm gonna make up those places.
Just look at the spread in the field, though. You have Mercedes and Red Bull running at the top, way ahead of. Let's say right now it's McLaren. That's the next best car.
Okay.
McLaren's not even close to the pace of a Mercedes or a Red Bull.
So then I'm gonna attribute.
So
his
there's
mission
no
to being in a new
reason.
car.
There's no reason why Perez shouldn't be qualifying at least fourth. At least on the second row. At least. There's no reason why.
When he has had a good lap, he has qualified high.
Oh, come on.
No, obviously. Duh. When he has had a good lap, he has qualified high.
Yeah, because if you go back to, obviously it's been 4 races. You go back to the first 4 races, he's only qualified high once.
That is like the most obvious.
That's the most Ruben
obvious
thing
statement.
that
No,
I've
but I
heard.
said if you,
That's it.
he's had a good lap.
A
you could say-
Rubenism.
But in a qualifying lap, in these 4 races we had so far, he's only had 1 good lap.
Yeah. Well, he has
The other ones, something has happened to him along the way.
And he qualified, I think, fourth. Oh, no. He actually qualified ahead of...
He qualified 5th behind the. I'm sorry.
No. I'm talking about, like, just this season. He has
season.
qualified...
4th ones.
No, but he also qualified ahead.
He
ahead
qualified
of,
8th. I'm sorry, this race.
This race, yes.
But he also qualified ahead of Verstappen in the first race of the season, I believe it was. But I mean, either way, you got to be up there. 8th is not good
So I'm
enough.
going to bring up the pit stop or the tire strategy graphic again. We see that Perez, he pitted on lap 27 and lap 57, which is very close to both Leclerc's strategy and Valtteri Bottas' strategy. And we just did not see the results from him. He ended up finishing 5th, but behind Leclerc. You should be beating that Ferrari every single time.
Yeah, but that's the key. It's just one of those. You're fighting. He qualified 8th. He did move up 2 spots, but you're in Barcelona. This track is notoriously hard for overtaking. So he did make up 2 spots, but that's the most that you can expect. That's why you must qualify higher. There is no excuse for that. When you're even if Leclerc is ahead of you, yeah, you can beat Leclerc, but can you pass him? One thing is catching up to them. The other thing is passing.
So you kind of led into 2 things that I want to talk about. So I'm going to remember what you just said. Oh, I want to move on to the next topic, and then I'm going to ask you guys a beautiful question here. Next topic is Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc. So this race, Lando was a bit off. He wasn't the Mando that we expect, right? Lando finished 8th, picked up 4 points. Charles Leclerc finished 4th, picked up his 12 points. So driver standing wise, we have overall right now Lando Norris in 4th place at 41 points. Charles Leclerc, 5th place, 40 points. Yhancy, go ahead, please.
Leclerc is just driving lights out this season, man. Leclerc is driving like a future world champion.
So
Ladies and gentlemen.
are we seeing something similar to what happened last year?
What?
That Lando Norris started very well. He was 3rd place for a while.
It was just
and then
one
he
race.
No, just saying. Is that the beginning of what happened last year? Remember, he was in the points in 3rd place for a while.
I don't know if
Last year.
I don't know if I would
And then he
agree.
started just to fall off.
No, I mean, this one race, Lando's running very well. Lando and Leclerc are driving really well this year.
It's all the video games.
You can say that. But, I don't know. We'll see how they go next week. But we know that I think the most consistent driver besides Hamilton Hamilton and Verstappen, I should say, has been Charles Leclerc.
I agree with that 100%.
Leclerc has qualified P4, I think, in all 4 races.
I don't think that's accurate.
Okay, but whatever.
Because Lando has been up there.
Okay, so he has qualified
Between 4 to 6.
4 to 6. He's been there or thereabouts. He hasn't finished lower than 6th in any race this year in the Ferrari.
The spread between all these guys has been tens or thousands of seconds.
Yeah.
So
It's
that's
very
big
little
right there
difference
too as
between
well.
them.
Exactly.
So
there were a lot of on-field battles last year between these 2 guys.
Clean too.
Very clean. We, for some reason, it's not really even talked about on the broadcast as a potential budding rivalry. Maybe because it's been clean, But these two guys are kind of showcasing, okay, this is the future of F1, along with obviously Max Verstappen further ahead. But where do we see? I read out the driver standings. Let me read out the constructors. McLaren 65, third place. Ferrari 60, fourth place. Dude, like, are we back in the early 90s and the 80s?
Yeah, Ferrari, it seems like they're getting better and better each race. I'm excited about this season. And both their cars finish ahead of their rival in the McLarens. So Sainz finished ahead, one place ahead of Norris. And Leclerc finished ahead of Ricciardo, which finished sixth, I believe. And fifth was Perez.
Ricciardo was sixth, yeah.
Yeah.
Fifth was Perez.
It seems that Ferrari is inching closer and closer to McLaren to the point where we can start asking the question, is the Ferrari faster than the McLaren?
Is the Ferrari the third best car?
Yes.
No.
And I don't think it is for one reason and only one reason only. And you might want to guess a gander or guess why that is. It's on your damn hat.
It's the power unit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. I think that their aero is actually closely matched.
Their chassis, I think the McLaren has the edge on the chassis.
I think we'll see that. We'll get an answer to that in Monaco.
So that was my question. We just talked about qualifying for Perez. We just talked about Lando and Leclerc. Let's throw in Ricciardo and Sainz.
This weekend, Ricciardo was phenomenal, by the way.
Who qualifies out of that group the best in Monaco? Where it is actually, you talked about it being important in Barcelona. It's even more important in Monaco.
Leclerc.
Leclerc?
Yeah.
Leclerc did not have a good race last time in Monaco when we raced in Monaco.
Where he was dive bombing everybody?
Yeah. He didn't have a good race. The car obviously wasn't great. He has a good car under him. He is driving
a better car. Not a good car, better car.
It's a good car. I mean, it's a good car when you're fighting for third.
Okay.
Okay. Not just because I'm a Ferrari fan, but that's also a plus. And he has been driving extremely consistent, not only this season, but last season as well. I don't see why Leclerc can't pull out one of his great qualifying laps and landed in third or fourth in Monaco.
So
I don't see why not.
I want to keep that. I want to keep. I want to
definitely Ricciardo too.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to put that back in our pocket, and I want to say that the whole Ferrari and McLaren thing is going to be a nice storyline going for the whole rest of the year. And I think that really what we are gonna see is the drivers themselves, not even the teams, are gonna be the ones that determine this, right? We see Lando not being consistent this race, kind of just falling off. We see Leclerc continuing to push the consistency. Ricciardo starting to improve to get to where Sainz is already at in that Ferrari. So that's where we'll see kind of the tail of the tape is really going to be the drivers determining that outcome.
Well, you have a combination of obviously good cars, and both teams have really good driver lineups. So it's going to be, and it's pretty close between them. It's actually, I would say, closer than comparatively to what Red Bull and Mercedes is.
Sure.
So there are definitely going to be a lot of good things coming out of that rivalry between McLaren and Ferrari.
Just watch out for Ricciardo.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ricciardo's not even he's not even close to being comfortable in that car. And, he's learning more and more each race. You can see he's getting more and more comfortable. He's going to, it'll be interesting to see the dynamic between him and Lando once Ricciardo does get up to speed. And we'll see if, and you see that Lando this season has a different demeanor about him. We'll see if Ricciardo getting up to speed gets under his skin a little bit. That could also affect the race.
Who's been driving better, Sainz or Ricciardo this year?
So far, I think Sainz.
What do you think?
Overall, yeah.
Overall, yeah, what?
Overall has been Sainz.
Okay, so I'm going to... It was a trick
the
question.
reason why I say is because Sainz is the one that's been finishing, or qualifying ahead, like showing solidification with the car.
Drivers' Championship. Daniel Ricciardo, 7th place with 24. Carlos Sainz, 8th with 20.
It's still close.
Still very close.
Remember, it's a midfield battle.
Yeah.
So
It's a
3
midfield
points
battle,
is not
and
really.
also for the third, it's going to be tight for that third place constructor.
Yeah, it's going to be super tight.
So, speaking of tight, one of my favorite parts of the race was 8th and 9th. We see Esteban Ocon and Fernando Alonso literally fighting for their lives from an onslaught. It looked like a game of Mario Kart, like it's the last lap, and then the blue shell's about to come out and like mess everybody up. And the blue shell hit Alonso even though he wasn't in the front, and it knocked them all. Okay, whatever. What did you guys think of
Why'd
that
you
whole?
stop?
Yeah, I just love video games. What do you guys think? So number one, let's put a special highlight. Let's give him the star, I guess. Esteban Ocon, just killing it. The last couple of races, 5th place qualifying. This race,
He's holding his own against
really well.
Alonso, man.
Yeah, he looked really well. This
He's holding his own against a 2-time world champion.
Also, Alonso this weekend had an engine issue, and he still... I thought he was going to retire from the race, saying that it was like a misfire in the engine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I thought he was going to retire pretty much like, hey, Alonso might retire. But no, he still pulled it through, and he was fighting.
Ocon
Maybe they
seems-
fixed the code on the computer or whatever.
So one thing we do need to mention, Ocon was the only driver on the one-stop strategy.
and made it work.
And made
scored
it
points.
work. And
Because
scored points.
everyone else, it was pretty chaotic at the end of the race because you see everybody just dropping like their tires.
Yeah, you're right. Kimi Räikkönen also had a one-stop strategy.
Yeah, the tires just fell off a cliff, and you see everybody just falling, and the only one that stayed up there for the most part was Ocon. I think Ocon is back to his Force India form now, man, and he's doing pretty well. So, and if you can get him and Alonso, we mentioned this last week. Alpine seems like they're getting on top of their car. They might be fighting for points up in the midfield as well.
Ocon actually went from 6th to 8th because of the tire issues. You saw at the end of the race that guys were just like,
Yeah, I mean,
Blasting
they
right
were
through.
just trying to hold on at the end of the race.
yeah.
Same thing with Gasly. Gasly was running up there as well,
Dude.
and he fell down to 10th place.
Yeah.
That looked, by the way, as you watch the race, all of those cars together through some areas of the track that you rarely see so many cars
Looked
together.
awesome.
Well, you know what? Also, probably like off topic, but Gasly, you see self-inflicted wounds. We're talking about AlphaTauri. Gasly got a 5-second penalty at the beginning of the race for not starting on, starting
out of position.
out of position on the grid box. So again, these are mistakes that
By a lot, too.
Yeah,
It
these
was
are
like
mistakes
by
for a
a
car that's supposed to be challenging up there with McLaren and Ferrari. Even though this race doesn't seem like they're up there anymore, they're shooting themselves in the foot. AlphaTauri, I'm talking about. While you have Alpine on the move, obviously McLaren, and don't count out Alfa Romeo. Alfa Romeo
Yes.
seems like they're nipping at the butt at the bottom of the midfield as well.
So you had Kimi on a ridiculous strategy, and then you had my boy, my guy,
The bullet.
the bullet, the Bergamo bullet. He, you guys
Antonio
saw.
Giovinazzi.
Yes, Antonio Giovinazzi. I'm sorry. You guys saw the pit stop that he came in for.
Oh, my God.
The mechanic noticed that the front left tire had a flat. So at that point, you have to change every tire,
All four of them.
all 4 of them, because it has to be a matching set. It was a 32 second pit stop, right?
That's insane.
Then the bullet himself shot up the. I'm trying to get my notes here. Shot up the the driver field from 19th. He made it all the way down to 10th before dying off and having to finish 15th. I don't know, man.
Almost got it there, man.
Almost
the
got
bullet was flying.
Bullet Bill.
Yeah. It was
Anything else? Anything else of note in this race, boys? One other thing to mention: Turn 10. They changed the configuration of Turn 10 it didn't really make the racing any tighter. Like it was no effect at all whatsoever.
It was kind of,
I don't even think it got a mention over the weekend.
No, they mentioned it, but like it didn't really have an effect on the race.
Mentioned as like affecting anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was tough to tell. You would have said that if the race wasn't as interesting as it was at the front, maybe it did have an effect on the race.
Maybe. Maybe.
Because technically, I mean, obviously, that was where there was a hairpin before turn 10. There was a hairpin. That was probably the best overtaking spot on the track before they changed the layout. But I don't know. It's hard to tell. We'll see next year. Even though next year, the cars, they changed the rules, so the cars are going to be able to follow closer.
Yeah.
So maybe that might make a difference.
They should change the rules so that they only race motorcycles there. And
Well, that's
all
why
the F1 drivers get in motorcycles.
That's why that's actually why they changed that layout
for MotoGP.
For MotoGP, because it was too
fast.
What is it? The apex was just too tight, I guess. I don't know. Whatever, man. I don't like this track. This was a good race. Better than I expected. Kept me interested to the end of the race.
Meaning you were awake through the whole race.
Yes, and then I fell asleep right afterwards.
Ruben, anything to bring up for this race?
I think Schumacher, something about his, and I can't remember the whole thing was something about. I believe he had qualified, and I think he had qualified Latifi or some crap like that. Maybe I don't have the whole story. It's just something that just glanced through it.
No, he's been driving pretty good.
Yeah, he's been adjusting to the car very well.
He's definitely beating Mazepin like a drum.
Well, everybody is.
I think I could do it. I think I could be Mazepin.
In one of your trucks, too.
Exactly.
Not even
No, but he seems like he's a lot more comfortable. He's fighting up there with the Williams, which is which obviously coming into the season we didn't see that Haas would be fighting with anybody. But yeah, man.
Well, for you to say fighting up there with the Williams, man, to be like, oh, the Williams is up there above a team. That's like, holy crap.
Well, we come on. You know the expectation that at least the Williams was going to be fighting at the bottom of the midfield or getting closer to the bottom of the midfield, and Haas wasn't going to develop the car at all. The fact that they're fighting each other, I guess, is a win for Haas. Which doesn't say much anyways.
Rich energy back.
You know what I mean? It doesn't say much. But
anything else? Bottas? Nothing, obviously.
Bottas did what he was supposed to do, man. Tell
Bottas to pack his bags.
They don't make midfield.
What did you guys think of? Obviously, they were both on different strategies. Lewis Hamilton was closing a 22-second gap after he pitted for the third time to catch Max, and he was about to pass Bottas. Bottas didn't really let him through like that.
Well,
it was a bit of a tense moments there through turn 10.
I don't think it could
be. It could be said that as well, but we're in Barcelona. Like, to pass here is also tricky. That the other driver is not going to lose that much time.
And that's what Bottas said. Did you think that he's racing his own race? Like, come on.
He didn't move over for him. Did you think that Lewis had to actually overtake him?
That's what they said, and that's kind of what Bottas insinuated too. That he wasn't just going to let him. You know, he was racing his own race, and he didn't want to lose time.
What is that?
Remember, he was also hunting down Max.
No, I got you. But what do you think that does team chemistry wise?
I don't think it matters because Hamilton is beating him like a drum, so it doesn't matter.
Okay. I think if it would have cost Lewis the race, then it would be a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lewis still won. Oh, all right, he won. But if that would have been the reason why Lewis did not win, then Mercedes was still be in that meeting in Barcelona.
The reason why the race was actually pretty good was because of that comeback that Lewis came when he switched those tires. That was actually what made it. Like, is he going to do it? Is he going to do it? That's what made this race better than most other Spanish GPs.
It's a combination of the whole race. When Max pitted, Lewis even said over the radio, the tires are back. And I keep saying that Lewis Hamilton is the only one with tires that resurrect.
Did you guys have any doubt that Lewis would overtake him at the end?
I did not have any doubt on that.
I thought that we saw already throughout the race how Max was managing the battery to be able to. So we saw the first time that Hamilton came up on him. My whole thought that when I was watching it is, Brundle mentioned that he's managing his tires, but then he also, in my head, was managing the battery. So, because there's only really one spot that Mercedes could have overtaken the Red Bull, and that's at the start-finish straight. And if you hit your battery on overtake mode, you're just, even with the DRS, it's going to be very difficult to catch them on such a short straight coming off of the chicane. So,
and the only other overtaking spot on that track has been taken away.
Exactly.
In turn 10.
So to me, I was like, yo, it's possible that Max could have held him off, but I didn't realize, like, the tires were just completely gone at the end. And that was just too
and it
much
was
of
a pretty
factor.
easy overtake on that.
And they said the same thing.
And
Is he vaping it too much?
Yeah.
No, and even they were projecting that the overtake was going to take place in the last lap. It actually happened 3 or 4 laps before the end of the race. So I mean, Lewis Hamilton definitely had crazy pace on those scuffed tires, as they say.
The used up.
They were used tires. The reason why, by the way, if anybody's why they would do that, why Mercedes would put older tires, is that they put them through a heat cycle, meaning that they warm up the tires, cool them down. That makes those tires a little bit more durable for the race. So durable than if you put them on brand new. So that is that's
which is allowed to do that. You are allowed to do
Yeah,
that.
you are allowed to do that. I think they used those tires. They put them on once during qualifying and did a lap, saved them for the race. I guess they had been thinking about that way before, man.
So, all right, boys, we're going to start winding it down. Guys, make sure to follow us. You've been seeing it, if you're watching on YouTube, on the top left corner of your screen, our socials, at Jump to Start F1 on Twitter and Instagram, Jump to Start Racing Podcast on YouTube. You can find us on podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and Stitcher is where you can find us in an audio version. Obviously, again, we're on YouTube. Not yet. Come on. I picked it up and I scored right after. So, guys, make sure to check us out. Enjoy your week off. We'll be back next week with a preview of Monaco, my favorite race on the calendar.
Yes.
All right, guys. See you later.
Monaco GP,
Peace out.
the gem. Peace.